All right, welcome to the GoldenComm Podcast. Today's special guest, Fadi Cheikha. Cheikha,
You got it.
welcome to the GoldenComm Podcast. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I know a little bit about you because we've known each other for a while. I want to get right out of the front door that you and I have something in common.
Mm-hmm.
I am 1/4 Lebanese.
Okay.
You
When did we cook you out?
Tell us where you grew up. Tell us where you grew
So
up.
I'm 50% Lebanese, 50% Greek. Grew up in Lebanon, was born 1967, and until 1987 when I came to this country.
Okay, so I have to ask you to tell from 67 to
87.
87 in Lebanon, there is a civil war in there.
Mhm.
Is that right? And
Correct.
you are growing up in a civil war.
Yes. So growing up, my dad has two brothers, and each one of them has 5 daughters. The other one has 3 daughters, and my dad has me and 2 of my sister, plus his sister. But because I'm the only male in the family, I was very protected and sheltered. So grew up through the war in 1974 when it actually broke up, and it was a civil war. 3 million Lebanese people, 17 different sects. People bought and sold. If they give you money, you are part of that organization or that organization. So they are bombing all day long. You don't know who's bombing who. And we lived literally on the red line. The red line is between Muslim and Christian, Christian and Druze. Druze and doesn't matter who it is. They are fighting each other. You don't know who they are fighting today, right? So grew up basically in shelter all my life. My childhood was robbed. The irony was I grew up very confused kid. Confused kid because my mom is Greek, spoke to me in Greek. My dad, Lebanese, spoke to me in Arabic. And my parents decided to send me to a Catholic school run by monk. So now I am more confused, right? And it's only French. You cannot speak any other language at that school other than French. And if you got caught speaking Arabic, you'd be in detention center, whatever they call it back then. So beside that, my dad is Muslim Sunni, my mom is Greek Orthodox, and I'm going to a Catholic school. So confused, very confused all my life. So 20 years of my life confused in language, confused in war, come from a very affluent family. Uncle is extremely rich. Dad is rich. Other uncle is rich. But it was a lot of pressure. Pressure because the only son. And the son is going to carry the family legacy. I basically could not stand Lebanon anymore because the war. Graduated from college and I decided I'm going to leave. So I applied Australia, which is my number one country I wanted to go to because they thought that it was better opportunity than anywhere else. US and Canada. Australia said, you need somebody to sponsor you. US said yes, Canada said yes. US it is.
Yes, it is.
I'm not going to go to Canada. It's too cold. So US, and I had a friend here in California, and in an area called Victorville. Never heard of it. It's in the desert. I did not know California had desert, and that's when I started.
You arrive in Victorville in the late 80s.
Yes, 87. I arrived. I worked for I told my dad when I left, and he was devastated, that I'm leaving. I don't need any money. And I had $3,000 in my pocket. Going back, God was been searching me. So I always knew that there is higher power. I always knew there's God. I don't know where he's at, but he is there. So I was searching him. He was searching me, trying to find him. So my aunt said to me once, you will never amount to anything because you will always have a gold spoon in your mouth. GoldenComm, golden spoon in your mouth. You always basically be living under your dad shelter. You would take the business because I was a kid with a golden spoon.
And the only male.
I'm the only male.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I'm going to go do it on my own. And then I arrived here.
Okay, so you arrive here, $3,000 in your pocket. You're in Victorville, which is an improvement over the red line. Which, yeah,
100%.
You're no longer living in shelter.
Correct.
Okay, so now you can spread your wings a little bit. How did you get a job? What were early? Did you have a couple of jobs?
Yeah.
Right now you have a big job.
Yes.
We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
That's the meat and the potatoes.
Yeah.
But how did you get your first job?
So before I got my job, when finally my dad said, "Okay, you can go," he looked at me and said, I'm gonna need you to actually remember those two words. Those two things I need you to remember, and those are the most important things. If you do anything, those are the two things that you're gonna remember when you live in the United States. You respect the country that provides you food and money, and you protect the flag that hover over your head. Yeah, it gives me the chill every time I say that. Because
that's advice from Dad.
That's advice from Dad.
Two pieces of advice.
Yeah, that he's gonna lose his son to go 7,000 miles away to a country who doesn't have anybody. And it really I did not pay attention to those words until I came here. So when I came here, my dad had a friend who owns a bunch of gas stations. And he said, well, you can go talk to him. So I went, and he gave me a job in a city called Felon, whatever you want to call it. It's just absolutely nobody there. There's only 2 gas stations in the whole town, and you are it. You are the manager. You are the guy who pumped the gas. You are the one who cleaned the windshield. It was all full service. So I worked 7 days a week.
In Felon.
I had no idea there's something called overtime. I only was getting paid $3.30, and I'm grateful to get an apartment where a car doesn't start. I had to put it on a hill so I can actually run it down every single day. But Victorville was very windy, and it was a little bit cold, so I decided to find another job. I went down the hill to San Bernardino, and I interviewed in a furniture store. And I became, they hired me, and I became the top sales rep at that store. And then I became the manager of that store. Then I became the district manager of 3 stores. Then I became a regional manager of 6 stores. Before I became a general manager, the existing general manager, he said to me on Sunday, he came from Arizona. He said, "Why don't you come with me to church?" I said, "For what?" He said, "Just come with me to church." I said, "No, I'm okay." He said, "No, come with me to church." So he goes with me. I go with him to church. And the first thing I heard from the pastor is relationship with God. It's mano to mano. You and God alone. That's how relationship works with God. And that was what hit me. I gave my life to Jesus that day, and I became a Christian. Because all my life I've been living in religion, not relation. And that was what I was searching for. Anyway, within the 2 years, I became the general manager of 16 stores. But I grew up in Lebanon. I grew up through the war. So I know what war does. Iraq #1 was brewing. George Bush Sr. was going to invade Iraq and invade Saddam Hussein. So I knew that the 3 things will tumble during the war: furniture, jewelry, and cars. Those are the businesses will not survive. I decided to quit. So I quit in May in 1989. And I basically looked in the ad in the paper, and right before my birthday was May 21st. Right before my birthday, 3-4 days before my birthday, I answered an ad. I called a company who sells credit card processing. Never understood what that means. I went for an interview, and at that interview, the guy, Bud LaFave, was the manager who interviewed me. He said, "Okay, let me think about it, and I'll hire you on Monday, maybe." I said, "What do you mean? It's a commission only. What do you care? Just hire me, and I will prove to you that I am good." He said, "No, I'm going to think about it." Well, that did not sit very well with me. So I left, and I went cold calling. I had no idea what I'm selling. It happened that there's this person opening a business and she's going to sell vitamin in a shopping center. And he said, yeah, I need to set up on credit card processing. I said, hold on, let me call this guy. I called him and he said, what? Yeah, okay. She needs a voided check and a check for $375. I said, okay, that's it? Yeah. I got a check, voided check, no business card, no receipt, no nothing. I took those two, went back to Bud that afternoon and I gave it to him and he said, did you bring the check? I said, yeah. He said, do I have to hire you? I said, you don't hire me, I'm going to your competition. He hired me. That's how it started.
Well, he hired you because you're crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, you went cold calling.
A crazy Lebanese.
Yeah,
yes.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of like my grandpa. Like they being a quarter of me. The Lebanese, they do things one way, and it's to the nines. Right.
You're absolutely right.
So you start cold calling. You get a gal. You have a deal, which a lot of people in their entire lives won't cold call.
Right.
And you just do it because you're ready to. But you've already had some success in furniture.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, now you are the CEO of U.S. Alliance Group,
Correct.
which is a pretty substantial credit card
Yes.
processing company.
Yes.
Plus.
Yes.
All right. So can you take me quickly how you got out of working for Bud? Okay. And you still in relationship with Bud?
I don't know if Bud's still alive.
Okay, so that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But somehow you got to being an entrepreneur.
Sure.
With your own. So how did that happen?
Sure.
How'd you go from there to here?
So Lebanese people are entrepreneur. They are business people, right? We are the number one in commerce. And the other thing is we are the one who created the alphabet. And the third is we created the first boat. But that's it. That's how we are good at. Everything else, we fail miserably. Relationship, we don't know how to do because they fight each other all the time. Anyway, so I worked for Bud, and then they couldn't approve a lot of deals. And I was the number one guy and couldn't approve any deals. And a bank was also starting to do this, payment processing, and the bank is out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and called Universal Saving Bank out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but they are opening offices in California. So the manager told one of the sales reps, I've seen this guy's card everywhere. Bring him in. So again, they called me and says, hey, we approve everybody. Why don't you come and send us the deal and let's do business together? I said, oh yeah, I have set of paperwork of your company. So what I did is the deal that they got declined by my old company, I wrote them up on this company, and when I walked into the interview, I had the deal in my hand already. I knew that would work every single time, right?
It worked last time,
right?
yeah.
So they hired me on the spot, and they had probably about 3,000 sales rep, and I climbed very quickly, and I became the number one. I was doing 65, 75 deals a month. The next guy behind me was doing 25 deals a month. But I'm crazy. I work all the time. And I found a way to work very far where people doesn't like to drive. And I did. Throughout that time, I did not want to train anybody. I just want to keep it for myself. Okay? So now I'm going to pause and I'm going to take you back to Lebanon. When I was 9 years old, the Lebanese complexity is their skin is a little bit darker hair, but we have a little bit of European in us. My mom found me on the balcony crying, and she said, "What's wrong?" I said, "The last blonde got married. I was 9. That lady was 29. So I was in love with the 29-year-old, and the last blonde got married." She said, "Oh, son, you'll find your blonde one of those days in your life." So now I'm gonna fast forward. So here we are in 1992. I refuse to train anybody. I'm the number one guy. Leave me alone. I don't want to train you. Okay? My manager used to beg me, put somebody in your car. We'll put a duct tape on their mouth. They won't say anything. Put them in the car. Let them hear what you are doing. No, leave me alone. Until one day I was walking to the office and I see this blonde walking in front of me. I asked, "What floor?" She said, "3rd floor. You're coming to my bank?" She said, "Yes." "For what?" "Interview." "What position?" "Sales." "Okay." As soon as I get to the 3rd floor, I went straight to the general manager and said, "You have an interview You hire her, I will train her.
Let me guess. This is Kim.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
well, good guess. Man.
Yeah. So the guy, so apparently she told him that if I want to work for your company, I need your top sales rep to train me. And he said, oh, this guy doesn't train anybody. You got to go ask him. So she comes to my office and asks me. And I said, if you want to be trained by me, be in my house tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. She lived in Newport. I lived in Redlands, the office in Costa Mesa. So you know what that means.
Right.
3 o'clock in the morning, she has to wake up to come to my house at 5 in the morning. A stranger, doesn't know who I am. So she got to my house, and we drive to Bakersfield, 3 hours. We had 8 appointments. I sold 5. On our way back, I turned around and looked at her and said, one day I'm going to marry you.
On that trip?
Yes. She will tell you the story. She looked at me and said, in her head, it's like, what a creep. I just need to get out of that car.
That's a good way to drive alone.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I arrived to my house to take her car, she thought that this all is set up. There's no way this guy can sell that many. So as soon as she left the car, she said, hey, by the way, can I go out with you tomorrow again? I said, yeah, be at my house tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock. We're going to go to Calexico this time. Again.
So you told me earlier you like to go to these skirts.
Yes.
These places that other people won't go because it's probably underserved.
Right.
You're probably not used to seeing a guy in a suit saying, I can save you money, make you more money.
Right. That's correct.
And she thought you set her up on the first one, which setting it up twice in a row would be impossible. It's a good play on her part.
Exactly. She's very smart.
She's smart. Yeah.
Very
She's smart.
So then she figured out, it's like, okay, these leads that you are going on, they are not that great. I can do better. So she became my partner. So she started actually making me lead, and I go out and close them. And she was making 50-50 between me and her. So she kind of become my partner on the inside, and I'm on the outside. Now I'm doing a lot more business. Mm-hmm. Until one day she decided that, you know what? I don't need Fadi, even though he's my boyfriend. I don't need him. I'm going to go on my own lead. She did. And she beat me for that month. And you know what I did? I had to marry her and retire her completely.
Take out your
she cannot be my competition, period. Take her out. So anyway, 1995, we got married. And
so you date for 2 years.
Yes, dated for 2.5 years. We got married in 1995. And then in 1997, she said to me, stop giving all that money to the bank. You can do it on your own. No, I don't want to leave. I'm making a lot of money. I'm the national sales director. By that time, I opened 100 plus offices, trained 6, 7, 8, 9,000 sales rep in my life. And it's like I lost count. No way. Because now, after I trained her, now I have to train everybody, right? And open a lot of offices. And she said, okay, you are not going to open the company. I'm going to open the company.
There she goes again.
She went and opened the company.
Yep.
And to sell only ATM, so we are not going to compete with the bank for payment processing. And she said to me, okay, we're going to go out on the weekend to, we have a bunch of appointments, and we're going to go and try to sell ATM machine. I said, I don't know nothing about the ATM. She said, oh, don't worry, I'm going to teach you everything about the ATM, but you have to pitch. So she taught me kind of like the ATM business from leaving Orange County to get to Indio that day. We had 5 appointments, and we sold 4. We made so much money. It's like, oh man, this is fun. Went back. I had a big deal, needs to be installed at the bank. And then by February of 1998, I gave my resignation. And my wife said, here's the keys, run the company. Now it's for me to make babies, and I'm done. And that's the story. The company, she started it. And today the company is very, very large. We process in the billions, tens of thousands of customers around the country. And that's the story behind U.S. Alliance Group. And from there, had a lot of companies.
So I know you have more than one company. U.S. Alliance Group, which I now know was started by Kim.
Yes.
And you guys kind of ham and egged it. And then you came in, and then she stayed home to raise family. And now you're running it. And you discover God, and you when you're here because somebody took you to church. Before that, you were in Lebanon, and you were in the Red Line hiding from war. I have to imagine that all of this has created a philosophy a personal philosophy that probably is inspiring and probably is contagious and probably imparted on your employees.
Mm-hmm.
So could you sum up? Do you have a philosophy that you could sum up for us?
Sure.
Okay.
The first one is I always tell them, if you think you are dreaming big, you are not dreaming big enough. If you think you're dreaming big, you're not dreaming big enough. When you get scared of your dream, that's when you are dreaming big. But as big as you think you're dreaming, God's dream is much bigger for you. Much, much bigger for you. So I try to live by learn from the past, dream about the future loosely, and live in the present. Okay? So that's basically one of my philosophy. The second one, if you come into my office, and you've been to my office, in my kitchen, there's two words, heart and wills. Heart and will. I invest in heart and will. The people who has heart, forgiving, are able to actually say sorry, are able to admit their mistake. They are good people, people who cares. That's the heart I invest in. And the will, when you fall, you can be on the ground and cry. But get up, wipe your knees, and move. So heart and will are the most important things in my life. And that's why you see all my employees that have been with me for 10, 15, 20 years. Because they basically drank the Kool-Aid, apparently.
Yeah. Good. All right. So in the last few years, because we had this pandemic, I don't think I want to talk about that, because I'm sure your business even went bigger during the pandemic because online shopping went absolutely bonkers. But what are some of the, fintech is a word that we use a lot. What are some of the changes that you've seen in the last 1, 2, 3 years that's happening in your category, which is billions and billions of transactions using credit cards? Yeah. Do you have anything that's, any disruptors out there that you've got your eye on?
Yeah, I mean, what I've discovered is in order for you to succeed is you have to own the whole ecosystem. The whole ecosystem, not only one piece, not only the payment side of it and you give it to somebody else, you trust somebody else to process it. Not only equipment that it fails and then you have to blame the manufacturer on it. Not only the gateway that you are processing with is not my fault, it's somebody else's fault. Not only the bank who's actually accepting your application is actually that you blame them on the approval or decline. Okay. I had to own all of it.
So this is kind of interesting, probably to the audience. So, when people, if they don't know much about this, when you pay something with a credit card and it gets approved, there are a lot of things that happen there.
About 25 link of chain in order for that transaction to
25
come up.
People got their pinky
Yes.
in it. Yeah.
Yes.
And what you just said, let me, if I can repeat, you said it, for me to be the more successful, I needed to own as many of those 25 points as possible.
Correct.
Probably can't own them all.
Correct.
But as many as possible.
Correct.
And do most people only in your business, like your first job with Bud, how many points did he own of that?
One.
So he's not capitalizing on all these other points.
We are today the only one in the country that owns all of it.
So explain that. How do you own all of the points?
So I invested in the manufacturer for the equipment.
What?
Yes. I own the gateway. I own the rails to the debit and the credit network. I own the back end, the front end, and I own the bank.
What's the last part?
The bank.
Oh, can I have a loan?
Yeah, sure.
You own a bank now?
Yes.
Okay, this must be new because I didn't know this.
Yes. I always sat on a different board of bank. This is my fourth one, and I always actually invested into the bank as an investor. Here I am beyond the investors, beyond everything else. I try to actually do a lot of business with my bank now because I own the whole process.
So you own the risk?
Everything.
So
100%.
which means you can approve what you want?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because I do know that sometimes you can't get approval to take credit cards if you have bad credit, if your product is marginally high risk,
Right.
if, right? And then,
Yeah.
then
We
the
do it all
The rates
today.
go up sometimes, right?
Yeah, but we do it all. The
Yeah.
only thing we will not touch is anything immoral, anything illegal. We will not touch whatsoever. I don't care how much money that you can give me. I will never touch
So
it.
all the gross stuff.
Right, gross stuff, we will not
Yeah.
touch it. Illegal, will not touch it, like illegal gambling or anything like that.
Yeah.
But anything else we do from low risk to high risk. It's not only one bank who sponsor me, which is my own bank, it's also 8 different banks. Because we are so big in payment, I can crush any bank. And I need diversification. You need to have buckets all the time. Multiple processor, multiple product, multiple banks. You always have to have that.
Okay, so what's next? Is it just continued growth? Is it a larger footprint or what?
Sure. I mean, more softwares, more. I mean, today we own, my wife and I, 28 companies, from hair salon to horses to vineyard to software companies to you name it. I don't know what I own anymore, right? But you have to have teams, right? And in order for you to grow, is people. If you come into my office, I have lots of awards. It's great. Inc. 500, Ernst & Young, beautiful awards, right? I love them. The most important award for me, the most important award is best place to work. Because those awards, year after year after year, these surveys are done anonymously to all my employees. Nobody knows what they say. And when an outside company value your company and tell you that you won in Orange County, in the Inc., in the journal, those are a big deal, because you're doing something right. People makes company. Company makes product all day long. Without people, you are nothing.
And you look for people, heart
And will.
and will. All right. Well, Fadi, I want you to come back because we took on one of your 27 companies, so we could do 26 more of these. But I love the dream big. I love heart and will, and I love you. Just everything about you. I mean, terrific job. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully we'll see each other again.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, way to go.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Uh-huh.